She pushed forward, trying to make out a path in the thick mist. There were no sounds of birds, no wind rustling through the trees. The forest was dead quiet, save for the crackling of her own footsteps, echoing in the unnatural silence. And then came the whisper again, closer this time. Lena. It wasn't just a voice. It was everywhere, surrounding her. Lena. The boy's voice. But no, this wasn't Benji. This wasn't a boy. Lena spun around. Behind her, standing in the center of the clearing, was a figure. It was taller than the trees. Dark, shrouded in a cloak of fog so thick it barely resembled a human. It didn't move. It just watched. Its presence was suffocating. The very air seemed to press against her chest, making it harder to breathe. And in its hollow eyes, Lena saw something ancient. Something wrong. It's him, she thought. The thing from the shadow. The thing that had been haunting Benji. Please, Lena whispered, taking a step back. Just let him go. I didn't mean to. But the figure didn't speak. Instead, it pointed. A long, spindly finger that cut through the air like a blade. It pointed at the ground in front of her. And there, beneath the earth where the boy had stood, was something. A mark. A symbol. The same jagged, circular design from the trees. From the ancient seals. It was glowing faintly, pulsating like it was alive. Lena stepped forward, despite every instinct telling her not to. Something compelled her to look closer. The mark began to shift, swirling, forming into something more. A face. A horrible face. The figure in the fog twisted again, its long arms reaching out like claws. And with one final scream, Lena fell to her knees, hands clutching her head as the ground around her broke apart, the sound of cracking earth deafening. From beneath the surface came voices chanting, singing a twisted lullaby. We are the lost. We are the damned. We are the ones who never leave. Lena's breath caught in her throat as the mist surrounded her, pulling her into the earth, into the hollow depths where no one had ever escaped. And then, as quickly as it had all begun, the fog disappeared. The woods were silent again, empty, except for the mark glowing on the ground, and the small, faded footprint that remained. The fog had swallowed her whole. Lena's surroundings were suffocating, dark, cold, and silent, except for that low, rhythmic whisper that seemed to emanate from the very air. It was the mark glowing on the ground, still visible even in the pitch-black forest. The face, warped, grotesque, seemed to blink in and out of existence, as if it were alive, watching her. Why hadn't she run? Lena's mind was screaming at her to get up, to flee, but her body refused to obey. Her legs felt frozen to the spot. It was as though the earth itself had wrapped its cold fingers around her, pulling her deeper into the nightmare. But then something shifted. A voice. It wasn't Benji's. It was older, deeper, full of a quiet, terrible power. You're too late. Lena's head snapped up. In the distance, the figure, the thing in the fog, was standing, watching her. Its presence was more defined now, less shrouded, more real. It wasn't human. Its form twisted and shifted, blurring at the edges, but its eyes, those hollow, soulless eyes, were locked onto Lena. The same eyes that had followed Benji. The same eyes that had haunted every step of her journey into the hollow. No, Lena gasped, her voice hoarse from fear. I need to find him. I have to save him. The figure tilted its head slightly, the deep, echoing voice rumbling like thunder from within the fog. You cannot save him, it said, its voice slithering through the mist like serpent's hiss. You can only become him. Lena felt a chill pass through her chest, a deep, unnatural cold that began to consume her from inside out. Benji is lost. All who enter here are lost. The words reverberated, echoing around her, bouncing off trees that seemed to move closer in the dark, like twisted giants with reaching limbs. Lena's pulse quickened. She tried to move, but the ground had become sticky, pulling her feet down, as though the earth itself wanted to swallow her whole. She was trapped, just like all those who had entered before her. The fog thickened, the trees now looming like specters, their branches reaching toward her, tangled fingers in a desperate attempt to hold her in place. Her breath became shallow. The air was thick, pressing down on her chest, as if the weight of the forest itself was trying to suffocate her. But through the fog, she saw something. A small figure. A boy. Benji. He was standing just beyond the mark. His eyes were black pits. His mouth stretched wide in an unnatural grin. He didn't speak, but his presence was enough to freeze her where she stood. He lifted a hand, pointing toward the mark that had been glowing, now pulsing. It seemed to breathe with a life of its own, pulling Lena's attention back to it. Lena's chest tightened. "No, no," she cried. "I won't let you take him." But as she stepped forward, trying to move toward the boy, she felt the ground give way beneath her feet. She stumbled, falling forward into the fog. Everything went black. Lena's world spun into blackness as the fog swallowed her whole. She felt herself falling through nothingness, her body weightless, suspended in the cold, oppressive air. And then, just as suddenly, everything stopped. Her feet hit the ground with a jarring thud. The fog was gone, replaced by an eerie, unnatural stillness. She was standing in a vast, open space that stretched out endlessly. The sky above her was thick with swirling clouds that seemed to pulse with a rhythmic beat, as if the world itself was alive. She looked around, her heart pounding. The ground beneath her was covered in deep cracks, like the earth had been torn open, the remnants of some long-forgotten ritual. The fog hadn't just taken her somewhere, it had transported her into the heart of the curse, the very center of the evil that had consumed Benji and the others before him. And there, at the center of it all, was the mark, the one she had seen before. It was larger now, glowing with a fierce, red intensity. The face was no longer a shadow. It was fully formed, eyes wide open, staring directly at her. Lena couldn't breathe. She heard footsteps behind her. Not just any footsteps. The soft shuffle of feet in the mist. Turning quickly, she saw him. Benji. His small form emerged from the mist, his face gaunt and hollow, his eyes black and empty. He moved toward her slowly, with the grace of someone who had forgotten what it was like to feel fear. His mouth stretched into that same wide grin, the one that haunted her dreams, that told her there was something wrong, something deeply, terribly wrong. "No," Lena whispered, her voice trembling. "Benji, please. You have to fight it. I'm here. I came for you." But Benji didn't answer. He just kept walking closer, his arms outstretched, his fingers twitching, as if they were craving something. The shadowy figure, the thing that had controlled this place, moved behind him, a silhouette in the fog. It loomed larger now, a terrifying shape, almost like a giant but twisted, its limbs too long, its face too pale. Lena tried to back away, but the mark, the glowing symbol on the ground, pulled her in. She could feel its power, its cold grip on her, its influence trying to draw her closer to it. "No," she shouted, her voice breaking as she reached out for Benji, who was now only a few feet away. "You're not him. You're not Benji anymore. Fight it. Please fight it." But Benji's face remained emotionless, hollow. "You're too late," the shadow behind him whispered, its voice low and suffocating, like the last breath of a dying world. "The boy is gone. He was never meant to leave." Lena felt her stomach drop. The reality of it hit her like a physical blow. The boy who had once been Benji, her little brother, was gone. His soul had been taken by whatever dark force controlled this place. He had been lost to the fog, just like all the others before him. "No," Lena whispered again, shaking her head as tears filled her eyes. "No, I won't let this be the end." Her eyes locked onto the mark once more. The face was glaring at her, mocking her with its hollow eyes. Then everything around her began to shift. The mist thickened. The trees twisted and warped. The sky above turned blood red, as though the entire world was dying. The fog whispered louder, growing in intensity, until the sound was deafening. The shadowed figure stepped forward, its tall, twisted form now standing right in front of Lena. It reached out with its long, bony fingers, grabbing her by the wrist and pulling her toward the mark. "No! Let go of me!" Lena screamed, struggling, but was futile. The darkness was too powerful. It was pulling her in, just like it had done with Benji. She felt her body moving, her feet dragging against the earth, as the shadow pulled her toward the glowing mark. But then, just as it felt like she was about to be swallowed whole by the darkness, something snapped within her. The bond she had with Benji, the love, the desperate need to save him, it was enough. It gave her strength. Lena dug her heels into the ground, refusing to let the darkness take her. She reached deep inside herself and found that final ounce of courage. With everything she had left, she broke free from the shadow's grip. In a single motion, she turned to face Benji, who was still standing there, his eyes hollow, his body motionless. She reached out to him one last time, tears streaming down her face. "Benji, I love you. I'll never stop fighting for you." I'm not leaving you behind." With those words, the fog seemed to shudder. The mark on the ground cracked. The face dissolved into nothing. The figure behind Benji wailed, a sound so full of anguish that it shook the trees. And then, as if the fog itself had given up the fight, it began to retreat. The trees, the dark sky, the ground, all of it began to shift, to fade. The mark dissolved into dust, its power disintegrating. Benji blinked. He looked around, confusion in his eyes. Lena took a step forward, her heart pounding. She could see him again, the real Benji, the boy she had known. His eyes were still wide, but now they were full of life. The hollow emptiness was gone. "Benji," Lena whispered, her voice breaking. "Benji, are you?" He nodded slowly, as if waking from a nightmare. "I'm here. I'm so sorry, Lena. I didn't know. I couldn't remember. It was the fog, it trapped me." Lena rushed forward, pulling him into a tight hug. She didn't care if the fog was still there, if the danger still lingered. She had found him. She had saved him. And in that moment, the fog faded completely, the darkness lifting from the forest. They were free. The nightmare was over. The end.